Hey guys, subscribe for daily knife content, and if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife overview to share with you guys because I've already reviewed this knife, actually a couple different forms of this knife. You can go back and check those out if you want to. But this is really cool and I couldn't pass this up. This was sent to me by somebody who wishes to remain anonymous, and that's fine. This is the Protech Strider SNG Auto in a mirror-polished Nightmare or compound ground blade. The reason I say Nightmare is because, you know, on a Strider, an MSC, Mixed Strider Custom, a compound grind like this is often referred to as a Nightmare grind, and they take a lot of different forms. This is a more basic form of it, but it is the Nightmare grind that they do on these special versions of the SNGs. This is very cool and very expensive. Periodically, excuse me, these do become available again. They are always in very small runs. There are different, you know, I've seen them in micarta, and I've seen them in aluminum, and I've seen a couple of different. So, I will link these guys right down below. They may not be available at the time of this video, but you're welcome to check it and see if they're available. They are expensive, substantially more expensive than the base version of this knife, which is understandable considering it's got a mirror polish, which takes a lot of extra work. Definitely, that's where a lot of the extra money is going in this knife, right? Not going to be for everybody, but that's factually where the extra money is going. Thank you so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. You can find my link for Patreon right down in the description. And please, make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. I'll do a couple of size comparisons. We're not going to do all the normal stuff because, like I said, I've already reviewed this knife. So you can go back and watch those videos if you want my thoughts on the SNG Auto itself. Overall length is coming in at just a little bit over 8 inches, about 8 1/8. Blade length 3.5 inches. Cutting edge about 2.75, considering we have a huge forward choil and sharpening choil. Size comparisons, like I said, just a couple here. Ontario Rat 1 and Rat 2. There you go. And then we'll do the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3, and I think that's all the more we really need to do. Your carry profile is a little bit awkward on this guy. Like I said before, it's because the butt end of these knives is kind of weird, and the pocket clip position is not ideal. It makes them seem thicker than they actually are. Thickness, though, is very, very comparable to the Spyderco Para 3. These guys in aluminum come in not insane. Weight on the aluminum variants are 4.73 ounces. I have my own personal titanium SNG, which is also titanium auto Protech Strider SNG. Why am I So if you don't know, the Strider SNG is made by Mixed Strider. This is a collaboration between Protech and Strider to make an auto version of this, and these are special versions of those knives. The standard version of the SNG Auto comes in around $180 to $200 and is just 154 cm and aluminum, which actually is what this guy's, but it's got. So there's been oddball special variants in the past, and this titanium version is one of them. This guy comes in at 6.53 ounces, so this guy's fine. I EDC that titanium one every now and then, and it's not that bad, but for people who cannot carry knives that are this large, they can't carry automatic knives, right? There's going to be some limitations here for a lot of people. It just is what it is, right? As far as people who can carry it, it's going to be a bit awkward in the pocket, not because it's heavy, but because of the position of the pocket clip and because of the position of the butt end. The action on this guy is fantastic, as is the case with all Protech autos. If you've never handled a Protech auto, they are the best quality side-opening automatic knives in the world. These are made in the United States. That's my opinion, by the way. But yeah, I've never handled an automatic side opener that fires quite like a Protech. Not just in terms of power, but just the feeling of action all the way around is fantastic. I specifically like the SNG because of its ergonomic lines. Absolutely, I like to be able to choke up on my knives, and I also like that that it's got external stops. I like that. I mean, it does mitigate pressure away from the pivot if you're going to use it. I know a lot of people are going, who would ever use that? It's way too shiny to be used. That couldn't possibly be a knife that people would use. Yeah, in fact, I'll tell you guys right now, this knife comes in at $450. That's a lot of money. But in terms of price ranges that yield, the end user being somebody who does or does not use, no. If you don't know, there are so many people who are willing to use knives in this price range, right? It doesn't really start to limit it like crazy until you get up maybe towards the 1,000. I know people who've got multi-$1,000 knives who use them. So if you're thinking just because this is shiny and because it's fairly expensive that people don't use it, you're mistaken. Now, are there more people picking up this knife not using it? I don't know, maybe, but yeah, this is 100% usable. There is actually a benefit to a mirror polished blade. The more polished a blade is, the more it's going to resist corrosion, no matter what the composition is. So, let's take this versus probably the worst finish for resisting corrosion would be bead blasting or something similar. Let's take this, and let's pretend it's in M390, which is a very corrosion-resistant steel. And then let's do the exact same thing in bead blasted. Regardless of the fact that M390 has roughly 20% chromium and is very stainless, the version that has in an extreme circumstance where even M390 would rust, the version that is mirror polished is actually going to resist that, developing a patina or corrosion better than the bead blasted version. So there is a utilitarian advantage to that. It's also very smooth. So you can still push a bead blasted blade through material, but there'll be more drag or more friction than a mirror polished blade. Right now, I understand we have a compound grind, so that's going to create its own issues in some circumstances. But yeah, no, there is a benefit to that. So anyways, what are we looking at here? You know what I find interesting is that this newer version, this is a much newer version of this, is not using the hex. It has a hex pivot, but not hex body screws. It has Torx body screws. We'll check those here real quick. I believe those are T8. You guys can pick up the same tools as me right down in the description if you want to check those out. And be careful here because this guy's in very good shape and I don't want to scratch that aluminum. Well, it might actually be a little bit bigger than that. We're going to try a T9. I know that's weird, but it feels like maybe those are T9. Are they even bigger? Are they T10? Well, I'd be happy to see that they were T10. We'll give it a shot. Yeah, holy moly, those are T10 body screws. That's great. I don't know that I'd really care about taking my Protech apart, but if I had to, I'm glad that they are fairly deep T10 screws, and it looks like it's the same case, the one holding in the pocket clip. The pivot is still a hex for whatever reason. Protech, I love you guys. These are fine. I think maybe you should just go with I think these button head Torx screws would be better. Like, just do another one that's T10 right there and give it the same look. I think that's probably a better way to go. These have been fine. I've never had an issue with them in the past, but just so we don't have to switch out the bits, it would be great to have that as T10. But okay, whatever. We have either pearl or abalone. I mean, I know this guy's pearl. This is a pearl inlay. I don't know if this is abalone. Somebody suggested it might be abalone. I can't remember, but it looks great. It looks fantastic. Is that part of what you're paying for? I don't know. I mean, kind of. I mean, it's going to add cost to inlay something like that in there. It does look nice, right? This is number 3 of how many? I have no idea. The one that this old titanium one is number 2 of 40. Why they don't put the number in there, I don't know. It's probably so that they can return to the same run if they need to, right? If they made 20, it says number 3 of 20, then, oh, well, let's do it again. And then it's confusing because then it'll be the exact same run and there'll be another number 3 of 20 or 40 or whatever, right? So they put number 3 probably of this run. How many there were in this run, I have no idea, right? Will they do another run exactly like this? I have absolutely no idea. Protech likes to make short runs of the stuff that they do. The Strider logo looks great. The blade looks beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Very nearly a true and complete mirror. Can still see a couple little teeny tiny, I mean, a lot of it is just needing to be wiped down, right? But very nearly a true mirror. Generally, you won't see a true mirror, like absolutely, completely, like no lines. You can't see any machine work in there at all. You won't see that, unless you're looking at knives that are well over 1,000, approaching maybe even 2,000. But this is like a 95% mirror, which is fantastic. You definitely do not see this high of a polish on knives under 5. I mean, even like knives under 800, I just don't see this type of finish work on here, so it's just beautiful. The compound grind looks amazing. I love it. What is the benefit to that? Well, it's thinner because you can see it start like this initial grind right here. You can see it starts much higher. So it's actually thinner behind the edge right here than it is right here. So in use, you could use one edge for making kindling for a fire, and then this is the tougher edge if you're going to, I don't know, whatever. I think, excuse me, for the most part, the people interested in picking this up are going to pick it up because it's aesthetically amazing. It looks awesome. Can you still use it for General EDC? Of course you can. I mean, is it going to be easier to break down a box with an open L versus this? Yeah, probably. I just don't care. I'd rather, I mean, this is cool. I like how this looks. Jimping's great. Ergonomics are great. I mean, that's the main highlight here is the blade. That's really what we're going to focus on because the rest of the knife is exactly what you'd expect. I'm not sure if the pocket clip is steel or titanium, so we're going to check. Oh! That's a titanium pocket clip. Is mine? Yeah, mine's titanium as well. I think the standard pocket clip you get on the regular versions of these knives is steel. So you do get a titanium pocket clip. You get, in this case, the upgraded button. I think a lot of these generally have. Whenever they do a special run of the SNG, it's multiple elements, right? Instead of aluminum, you're getting, in some cases, you'll get micarta. You'll get some interesting element on the button, and then some interesting element with the blade. And in this... Truthfully, guys, as far as the more expensive or the special variants of these SNG autos go, this is the coolest. In fact, like, I think this is probably the coolest Protech that has ever existed. U.S. made. It's an SNG auto. That's cool in and of itself, right? Mirror polished compound blade. What's the steel? 154 cm. That's a little bit hard to choke down, even as somebody who loves 154 cm and CPM 154. I love those steels. It's still feeling a little bit out of place on a knife that costs $450. There is some evidence that Protech may be moving to S35VN for a lot of their knives, which is, it's okay. I mean, S35VN is a fantastic steel, but it's also becoming a steel that we see at a much lower price point. But that's okay. It'd be welcome, honestly. I mean, sure, guys, I'd love to see them do everything in S45, right? Or you know, something crazy, Van X37. Sure, okay, but let's be realistic. You know, if they move to S35VN, like if this was an S35VN, it would be a lot easier for me to go, okay, you know, great. S45VN would have been even better. But 154 cm, again, I mean, this is a much older version. My titanium SNG auto is in 154 cm. I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay, but the vast majority of people who are going to spend $450 on a knife are going to think the same thing as me. They're probably going to pick this up for how it looks, and one of the downsides is going to be this. They're going to go, the steel, you know, They're probably, you know, but they still want to. I know Epic Snuggle Bunny picked one of these up, and we kind of. I remember there being a conversation in the group about that, but. Yeah, that's my one complaint is that I don't necessarily have a problem with 154 cm on the base versions of these, the ones that come in at like 180. But on these upgraded ones, like, why not go ahead and upgrade the steel? It wouldn't add that much cost to it. Do something different with the steel. That'd be really cool. Other than that, though, this is amazing. I mean, this knife has the same quirks as the standard one. Mainly, the butt end is awkward. The pocket clip is in an awkward position, right? But the rest of it is amazing. This is the coolest version of the SNG Auto, and officially, in my opinion, this is the coolest Protech that they have ever made. Absolutely. If I get a chance in the future, I missed a chance here recently where I had some funds dedicated to another knife, and a short run of these popped up on a few different retailers, and I thought, man, I should really buy that, and I didn't, and I'm kicking myself. These are excellent. The gentleman who sent this in told me that he had a little bit of a centering issue with it, and he'll be pleased to know that I got it almost exactly on center. I didn't want to keep going, make the action too tight, but the action's great the way that it is, but it's very, very close. I think he said it was centered, and then as he continued to push the button, it came off-centered, right? And that's going to be the case with a lot of knives. It's not specifically an issue with Protech or any other brand. It's just going to happen because we live in a universe that is finite and things slowly unravel themselves. That's just how it is, right? So if you're somebody who gets bent out of shape because their knife comes off center after you flipped it or used it for a while and you think you need to send it back, you don't. That's everything. It doesn't matter how much you pay for your knife, right? Just adjust it. And if it keeps coming off center, add some blue Loctite. You can buy a bottle of blue Loctite for like $5 or 10. I don't know. It's not very expensive, right? But yeah, no big deal on this guy. Came back to center just fine. So anyways, guys, I don't know that there's really a whole lot more I can say. I'm going to recommend this version of this knife to people looking for kind of the excess from their, I don't know. If you're looking to spend $450 or between $400 and $500 on a knife, is this a good way to spend your money? Yeah, I think so. I think people looking to spend that much money, right, are going to be really happy with this. Here's the nice thing. If you're looking to spend that much money for something that brings you happiness from an enthusiast standpoint, or you're looking to spend that much money on a knife that you're actually going to use, this is great either way. The compound grind is going to cause a little bit of a hang up while you're cutting some things because we have a transition of thickness behind the edge from here to here. It will still slice, absolutely. I'm not going to do that because this isn't my knife. But as far as like, you know, how the edge feels from here to here, I mean, it's great, right? It's just going to be a little bit thinner down here than up here. So you're still going to be able to slice, still going to be able to cut into cardboard. It's just going to create an awkward drag, especially if you're cutting like diagonally, so transitioning from this edge to this edge through, say, thick cardboard. Then yeah, probably a little bit. But for the most part, you're going to be able to do whatever it is that you're doing just fine. It's just really beautiful to look at. Every time you get this thing out, it's going to be, you know, something that's going to, I don't know, give you that odd euphoria that comes with buying something like this. You know, you're gonna be in awe every single time you get this blade out. It's just amazing. And for, you know, with other people, it'll be a conversation piece. You know, obviously, this isn't it is an automatic knife, and it's pretty aggressive looking, so it's not something you want to go whipping out at Walmart, you know, in the cracker aisle. But yeah, I mean, like if you're around somebody who also likes knives, this is something that most people are going to enjoy and appreciate. You know, most people that are knife people are going to enjoy and appreciate. And I just think this is amazing. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that Protech does this. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's at base. It's 154 cm and aluminum. But I cannot stress this enough. Having this level of mirror polish on a knife that costs less than $500 is amazing. It's amazing. We just don't see that. And I mean, again, I don't see mirror polished blades, even like 90-95% mirror polished blades under the $800 mark. And I mean, off the top of my head, what $800 knife am I comparing to? I don't even know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like under 1,000 we don't see that. I'm used to hearing about, you know, like Marfione Striders, like customs. I'm sorry, I was thinking of the MSG, which is a Marfione Strider collaboration. But I've seen some Marfione customs that are mirror polished on the lower end, coming in at just over $1,000, right? That's what I'm thinking of. That's like the least expensive mirror polish stuff that I can think of, right? Where it's truly that type of polishing. It takes some pretty heavy-duty machine work to get that type of polish and make it look good, right? The transition between the flat, which is tumbled, and these areas right in here. It's beautiful. I mean, the way that this is done, it's so precision. There's not ugliness. There's not awkward, like, zones that are rough or that look like, you know, they kind of took shortcuts on the machining end. It just looks amazing. This is beautiful. I could gush about this for another 20 minutes, but I don't think there's any reason to. Like I said, you can pick these guys up. Well, I'll link where you can when they're available. A couple of different places. So you can check those out. And I'll also link Protech knives in general so you can check out what all Protech has going on right now. Where's my... There it is. I think that's going to be pretty much it today, guys. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.